best locations across Australia, hosted by Nick Madge. This is The Cheap Pop.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode number 6 of The Cheap Pop. Apologies, it has been a little bit. I've had a few things on. We had SmackDown and Rampage on Saturday. Couldn't get to those, unfortunately. Bit of a Super Bowl weekend and had a few other things on, an engagement party, that kind of thing. So I do apologize for not being able to make it for that episode. But look, there wasn't too much we missed. We had a bit of a follow-up of AEW Dynamite that happened on Thursday, which we reviewed with Samantha and Shane. So that was a really good episode. So yeah, it's just me today. I am obviously solo. Twitter on your screen at The Real Cheap Pop. You can follow me on there, and I'll be tweeting just like I did a moment ago when we're going to go live, when we are live, and that kind of thing as well. A few things I want to get away before we get into the Raw show today, because it'll probably be a quick one. As always, there's not going to be a heck of a lot to go over. There's a lot, but we'll be going over it pretty slowly, because there's, quite a bit there that doesn't really matter. So things I need to get off my chest, and that is WWE 2K22. There is something happening tomorrow. As you know, they're going to be revealing the rest of the ratings. Apparently, the rest of the ratings. Rumor has it, it's only 24. So I don't really know what they're going to do in terms of that. We don't know. But apparently 24 more ratings. I don't know if that's going to be new superstars. Hopefully it is. I might get on here I won't be able to do a live reaction because I'll be at work. I won't have time to record an episode, but hopefully within the next couple of days I can get a reactions video or a breakdown video out for you. Something I definitely want to do, but there's going to be a little bit of time before that happens. We've got the game coming out actually in a few weeks. So we're going to have the game to play as well. Me and Shane are going to do a My GM series as well. So I hope you look forward to that. We're going to do a 1v1 My GM series. I might even give Adam a run for his money with a My GM series. We don't even know what to expect. They haven't revealed anything the game has to offer. Like the mode, I should say, My GM. So we don't really know what's going to happen with the mode. But look, time will tell. We'll get to that eventually. We should probably get to what we're actually here for. And that is Monday Night Raw. I did tune into 90% of the show whilst I could. As much as I could have it anyway. It seemed okay. But just like a typical Raw, there was stuff that didn't matter. There was stuff that did matter. And then everything in between. Look, we'll get to the show in a second. It's just stuff that's happening. Like, they're putting everything in the wrong spot. So you had a 45 odd minute gauntlet match, maybe 50 minutes, something like that, later in the show. You know your first hour is commercial free. You've got a 44 minute match. That was pretty decent. Okay, 4 matches. Whatever it was, 5. Why not put that at the start of the show? Bruce, Vince, please. You're getting there. There's some things that are improving. But things have got to make sense. The show needs to be logical. And when the show's not logical, people don't want to watch. The only people that really are watching are obviously the hardcore fanatics. Mostly, like Samantha says all the time, kids that love their superstars. Yeah, you're not going to get those fans that have transitioned over to AEW back. They're a long way away from getting back to professional wrestling. And let's face it, it's not going to happen. But there's still ways you can make sports entertainment exciting. There's ways to do it, but Vince, at the moment, doesn't know how. He's going to say I'm wearing the LA hat. It is just an LA hat. Dodgers, I guess, more so. But you did see the Super Bowl. And now I'm not a fan of either team, but it was a really good day spent out at Ryan's place. So shout out to Ryan for hosting that event. Really enjoyed the day, and it was a really good game as well, I thought. And it was so good to see a lot of YouTubers and Twitch streamers out in the crowd as well. Let's not waste any more time. Tuesdays are normally a little bit quick. Have to get to something. So we'll go through the show. And I'll probably get Sam and Shane's opinions. Probably whichever show they do, I guess it's Dynamite or SmackDown / Rampage. We'll see what happens throughout the week. So we had the Raw show that was a little bit thrown together, if I can put it in that light. So we opened with a shot of the crowd like Raw does every week. Something I didn't notice because I didn't get my headphones on in time whilst I was watching it. You know, at the start when they do the then, now, forever together thing, apparently there was a voiceover. Rumors are it was John Cena narrating it. I'm not sure. I didn't see it. Maybe mention it in the comments below if you know for sure, but I've heard rumors it was John Cena. Just another pointless little thing. I don't know. It's just those little things they could spend less time on and spend more time on making the show itself better, but it is what it is. We opened with the shot of the crowd, no pyro, no intro video, inconsistencies again. Boring. We're live from Indianapolis. That was the host city tonight. And outcomes to open the show is the WWE Champion Bobby Lashley, who is alongside Montel Vontavious Porter. Lashley and MVP are out there hyping up the Elimination Chamber and how low Bobby's odds are against 5 others defending his championship. Out comes Seth Rollins, who has probably my second favorite entrance out of anybody in WWE at the moment. Roman Reigns would be number 1. The crowd loving his music. They're starting to really get along with it. They're doing the full thing, which is really cool. Seth does his usual laugh and tells Bob he looks great, but not as great as him. And as usual, the drip. Actually, he's not the drip god. Let's just call him the Visionary. I won't even think of that nickname that he normally has. But yeah, the Visionary. He was in one of his funky suits again. Seth says bad news is he will not be champion for very long, referring to Bobby Lashley, of course. He says he has some good news, and that being he does not think any of the other men in the chamber can beat him. I guess that's good news, but then you got to beat Bobby Lashley. But you can sort of see where he was coming from with that. Seth knows someone who can beat Bobby himself. What else would Seth say? I love this version of Seth. You heard me saying it last week. This version of Seth works. It really works. Out comes Riddle, who is super over with the fans. They are going nuts for Riddle. They love him. They need to take the momentum of Riddle and take it to the moon. But I'm probably going to get my hopes up on that one a little bit too much. Out comes Riddle in a super odd outfit. I forget the name of them, but it was something to do with the party that was going on later in the day. He had braids in his hair as well, which was super strange. He gives some funny gas station stories. I can't remember them. They were funny. Typical Riddle stuff. The crowd pops for it. He says he is confident he will win the WWE Championship in the Elimination Chamber. That's not going to happen. Sorry, Riddle, to burst your bubble. That is not happening. Somebody can come back here and roast me in the comments if he does win, but it's not happening. And then we got Riddle says Bobby should get in a toga, which was the thing, he was wearing. Makes sense now. And come to his party, which is the RK Broga party, a little bit later on. Out comes Austin Theory to his terrible new music. Theory says he will use all of the things that Vince has taught him and win the tag. Oops, I skipped the line. Taught him all the things to win the chamber. He says he has to win the chamber match. Obviously, when you got Vince McMahon helping you, you bloody better hope you do win it. Out comes AJ Styles. You can see where this is leading. They're all coming out. It's typical WWE. They've either got a Royal Rumble coming up or an Elimination Chamber or a multi-man match. They'll put everybody in the ring and think that this is some way to hype the show up. I don't like it. Look, it's not the worst, but it's not the best either. That's for sure. Okay, out comes Styles. Hello. What am I talking about? We'll get to that in a minute. So the obvious is happening here, but it makes sense. So AJ says Austin's... Okay, this is a funny part. This is literally what AJ Styles says. Austin's lips have been on Vince's ass for too long now. I thought that was a pretty cool comment. AJ says he agrees the odds are against everyone, obviously. But that is the price we pay for our legacy. Again, he's making valid points compared to the rest of them. AJ says, Bobby, no one, including yourself, will stop me from having a defining WrestleMania moment. AJ, I hate to break it to you, but I don't think you're winning the chamber either. Obviously, you know if you are or not, but I don't think you're winning the Elimination Chamber. AJ says to Riddle, that is a sweet toga. Referring to the toga he's wearing, obviously. AJ says he will walk into WrestleMania WWE Champion and United States Champion after he beats Damian tonight for the United States Championship. So obviously they've got a match coming up later tonight for the US title, him and Damian Priest. We'll get to that soon. You can already hear the frustration in my voice. Riddle invites AJ Styles to his RK Broga party later tonight. Bobby Lashley says this is enough and to stop talking, so we never got AJ's response about going to the party. Bobby Lashley tells Austin Theory he needs to wait for his chance. He's too young, something along the lines of that. Bobby tells Seth he has no chance of winning the title. So you can see they're going through the obvious at this point. It's your typical setup for a multi-man pay-per-view. Bobby said some joke to Riddle. I forget what it was, and it's probably because I could barely understand him. It was bad. The crowd didn't even pop. I don't know what he was trying to say. He tells AJ he won't have a WrestleMania moment, and he finally mentions Brock Lesnar, that he won't be winning either, despite stumbling on his lines. Bobby, I've got it written here, Bobby cannot speak properly. He was so much better when MVP was just doing all the talking for him. I know he's probably got to try, but it was bad. Anyway, out comes Brock Lesnar. Seth is in the ring dancing to his music. This guy, I just don't know how you can't take a guy like Seth Rollins and turn him into the top person in the company right now. He's doing the best stuff of his career. Use him. Do something with him. And I don't know what they're going to do. And obviously you've seen the thumbnail of this video. I feel like that's going to be the main attraction if it happens at WrestleMania. But time will tell. Fightful actually released the news on the whole Stone Cold situation, which I'll touch on a little bit later. So Brock matched up with Bobby Lashley. Oh, don't confuse me. Don't tell me I said Bobby Lashley, because now you're confusing me. It's a good mashup word. Brock takes off his jacket. This was really funny. Brock takes off his jacket. He puts it on Austin's shoulders. Brock takes off his hat. He puts it on Austin Theory's head. And he just looks away. He doesn't even look at him, like, as in, I'm better than you. It was one of the funniest things ever. He goes face-to-face with Bobby. MVP tries to break it up a little bit. Austin Theory then tries to blindside Brock Lesnar. Lesnar throws him over, gives him a couple of German suplexes. This was pretty cool. This was a cool moment. It made Lesnar look strong. We already know he's strong, but it just demolished Austin Theory, hit him with an F5, and went from there. So I don't know if you saw anything about it, Ryan. But one segment I probably do recommend going back to watch is just that Brock Lesnar part. See the small little things they do right during the show, and then there's absolute rubbish that they don't do right. So after he hits him with the F5, everyone else walks away up the ramp, going backstage. And then Brock Lesnar grabs Austin Theory's phone and takes a selfie. Obviously on the ground while he's on the mat. So kind of using what Austin's been doing to other wrestlers the last 2 months back on him. That was a really cool moment. I thought that was really funny from the Beast incarnate. Now we move on to a segment. We have the Street Profits who are backstage. They basically preview what's coming up in the show like they do every week. It makes no sense. I don't think they need to. The Dirty Dogs versus Street Profits is confirmed to be up next because they're talking about it. And then the Street Profits music hits and they come out to the ring. Now remember, we are commercial free for the first hour of Raw. And what have they thrown in there? A promo and a backstage segment. They're wasting time. You've got an hour free of commercial. Put wrestling, proper wrestling on your 1 hour. Can't believe Theory's younger than us. He is very young. I don't know what age he is, but yes, he's young. But he's getting pretty good push with Vinnie Mac as well. Like if you got Vince McMahon in your promos, you know you're getting a push. Put it that way. So first match, we have the Street Profits who are already in the ring. Out comes the Dirty Dogs, which is Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler. And then it gives us a recap of Dolph Ziggler's showing on NXT 2.0. I don't know if he's caught it last week, but Dolph Ziggler was on NXT 2.0. I thought that was a cool little touch. It was good to see Ziggler over there. Look, I don't really care for the new NXT that much. It hasn't grown on me yet. It's okay, but it's not great. So look, we'll see what happens in terms of that. Tommaso Ciampa is on commentary. Now, this was a cool touch. Tommaso Ciampa was on commentary. I'm really worried they're going to do something stupid with him. Now, I don't think he's on Raw permanently. I think this is just to extend the rivalry with Dolph Ziggler. So I've noted on here that I think they'll use this to bring Tommaso Ciampa up. He has come out and said previously he would rather retire than move to the main roster, so I don't know what's going to happen there. The match gets underway and the Dirty Dogs took control early. Angelo Dawkins ended up coming in via a hot tag. He took out both of the Dirty Dogs. Dolph rolls out near Ciampa, so near the announce table, and then Ciampa grabs a water, like one of the cups, the Street Profits cups, I'm pretty sure, throws it into, I think it was Dolph's face. Yep, Dolph's face. And then the distraction, pretty obvious what's happened here. Montez Ford with a big leap and a splash. It looked a little bit awkward. He kind of landed on his legs, as if you're going for a splash. And then he's just gone smack on his legs first. He made it look really good. Total credit to Montez Ford for saving that splash a little bit to the best of his ability. I think Ford could be a good future single star. I get worried he'll get buried in the rubble though. Tough situation with him, which I'd love to elaborate more. If something ever happened with him, I could elaborate on that a little bit more, but I think he could be a good single star because he's very good in the ring. And his promos are pretty damn good, I think, as well. After the match, Ziggler actually super kicks Tommaso Ciampa on the outside and runs away. So this is obviously going to lead to something between the two coming up on NXT. We've got Vengeance Day tomorrow, which I might recap, but I probably won't watch it. So I don't want to recap something that I'm not going to watch. I'll keep you informed. There's a couple of Australian wrestlers on the show that I want to look at, but I don't know if I'll watch enough of the show to be able to recap it for you. Grayson Waller, and the two girls, I can't even think of their names on the spot right now. Indy Hartwell, obviously, and the other one, which personally, I've watched her at PWA a few times, and look, I'm not going to go into her too much, but I thought she got called up to WWE way too quick. She had potential, but I don't know. She wasn't even on PWA for that big on PWA for her to jump over straight away. But Persia Pirotta, her new name, she's looked a little bit better in the ring. I don't know what training she's got from the NXT guys. Maybe it's rubbing off because she looks better on NXT than she did back here in PWA. Look, she looked okay here, but she was still kind of raw. She got pushed straight to the moon pretty quick. But look, it's good to see them successful. They might bring home the tag team titles tomorrow. We'll see about that, but that's NXT. Let's get back to Raw. We had another segment after this, and we got a recap of the Quiz Bowl between the Alpha Academy and RK Bro last week. We then go backstage to the RK Broga party, and we see Queen Zelina and Riddle having a chat, and we got Carmella in the background, who blew up all over the internet. Watch the show if you want to know why. It's Carmella. We then cut to Randy Orton, who's not at the party. The RK Broga party. RK Bro, he's a part of the team, but he wasn't at the party. He says he's not a party kind of guy, which is why he's not at the party. Orton says he's preparing for his match instead. Don't actually know if he said that, but he looked like he was. He says Seth will be hit with the 3 most devastating letters in sports entertainment. You know the rest. We had a promo video. Now, this was really cool. We had a promo video showing Rocky Maivia and his career. This is Black History Month, and we had The Rock narrating it. Highly recommend watching it. And I highly recommend watching Young Rock. Really good series, and it shows off his life and career in a really cool way. I can't wait for season 2. It might already be out, but I do need to check that out. We had our second match of the night next, and it was a US title match, which I'm super disappointed about. They barely got 5 minutes. I'm pretty sure it barely lasted 5-10 minutes. It wasn't much. This is why I actually told you this last week, mark my words, this is going to be pointless. We had a championship contenders match, which lasted longer last week to determine AJ Styles as the number 1 contender, which again, I don't agree with him beating Damian Priest because it makes Priest look shit and it makes AJ look too strong. And then what do? Priest retains tonight, and it just makes last week pointless. I don't get it. If you're going to make Styles look strong, you may as well have him win the title. I really don't get it. Look, we'll get to the match in a sec. We actually cut from AJ Styles coming to the ring for his match. We stupidly cut to a recap of Kevin Owens' segments from last week. Look, I like this, and I see where it's going with, obviously, my thumbnail of the video. Why do it now? Why waste time when you can have more professional wrestling during the 1 hour commercial free that you've got? You don't get this commercial free very often. It's only because you're on Sci-Fi. You're not going to get it on the USA Network. So, look, it made zero sense to me why they put this on here. I understand why, but I don't like where they put it. Anyway, let's get to the whole point of it. Me blubbering on about it isn't going to change Vince McMahon's mind. We had Kevin Owens, who is backstage. He's certain he won't be in the chamber, regardless of what he tries. He's obviously been trying to get himself into the chamber. He says before that, he says the people of Texas were calling him names and questioning his values. Now, there was a poll that went up on Twitter asking if they think he was lying about Texas last week or if he was being truthful. The results said he was lying. He says last week he was lying. Now, I'm telling you the truth. Right now, I'm telling you the truth. I can't stand Texans or people from Indianapolis for that fact. He says if North America, this is a good one. He says if North America was a human body, Texas would be its ass. And then in the clear accent, he says, howdy, partner. That was one of the best things I've seen in a while. That was funny. And I would be shocked if this isn't leading to my thumbnail. Breaking news halfway through Raw dropped by Fightful Select. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Lachlan, I don't know if you're watching or if you'll be watching this on demand, but Stone Cold Steve Austin is rumored to be having a match at WrestleMania. Now, it makes sense. This news came halfway through Raw, but everybody didn't click to them. Kevin Owens is talking all this shit about Texas. And then it's like, all right, we'll join the dots. Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens, Stunner versus Stunner. He's hating on Texas. They wouldn't be getting this ready if it wasn't happening. I would say there's probably more than an 80% chance of this match happening at WrestleMania. Whether it lasts more than 2 minutes, I doubt it. Stone Cold is 57. Don't get me wrong. Age isn't always a factor. Maybe he can still go at 57. I have my doubts, but I hope he proves me wrong if it does happen. But that looks obvious. Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens is, I would say at this point, an 80% guarantee of happening at WrestleMania. On Indianapolis, yeah. Just casually hating on that instead of Texas. It makes so much sense, doesn't it? So yeah, that's going to happen. I don't know why we threw that in the middle of here. They could have put that a little bit later, away from this match. Anyway, we get back to what we were supposed to be doing, and classic WWE just using other segments to fill in commercials. This is a commercial-free hour. They're just filling it up for no reason. Out comes Damian Priest to his crappy new music. Why they need to keep changing these theme songs is beyond me. You don't need to change these theme songs, WWE. You don't need to. Anyway, he's defending his championship tonight. AJ Styles dominates the match early. He nearly gets an early Styles clash, but it is countered by Damian Priest. Priest did take control of the match, and he ends up winning via you guessed it, a roll-up. Very short match. It barely lasted 5 to 10 minutes. Shorter than last week's number one contenders, title contenders match. You make your title match shorter than your non-title match, then you've got problems. At the end of the match, they shook hands. I don't get it. Is Priest a face or is he a heel? What is he? You're pretty much making this guy look like a heel every week. Like he has some Ulster... a fruit roll-up. Oh, haven't had one of those in a while, you know. Wouldn't mind a fruit roll-up. It's a good one there, Ryan. Yeah. He won via a fruit roll-up. Let's just call it that. It's a title match and he wins by roll-up. No clean finish. They shake hands afterwards. Makes 0 sense. Waste of time. Waste of a match. Shouldn't have been a match in the first place. AJ beat him 1 week. Makes himself look weak by losing the next week. No, that wasn't meant to rhyme, but it did. It's just stupid. Styles isn't carrying. We knew he wasn't winning the title. How obvious was it? How obvious does it have to be? Anyway, let's get away from that and get to something else that's pretty stupid. Not the person. The segment and what they're making her do is stupid. So no disrespect to this person. I like her. I think she's good. I just think it was very cringy the last 5 weeks what they've been doing. We got Alexa Bliss. Sorry for the blur on your screen. WWE makes things blurry. I'm telling you, it's not me. That's what I'm talking about. We've got Alexa Bliss backstage with her therapist, as always. She says life is good. Life is better. She says she's happy. She looks more like Alexa again. And they're clearly making her look like Alexa again. I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it? As in the goddess Alexa, I mean. She asks for the music to stop, and the therapist does make the music stop. He grabs a remote, beep, makes the music stop. This therapist says he has another gift for Alexa. It is a lily. However, the lily is broken up, so it's all the insides of lily. Apparently, the remnants of the real lily were destroyed. Alexa looks annoyed. He grabs another lily from his bag, and this is the toy lily. If anybody doesn't watch WWE, by that matter, is just wanting to tune in. Lily is a doll. When I say toy, it's a doll that's supposed to look scary-ish. And Alexa just stares at Lily. Well, she stares more at her therapist. Just death stares him as we cut away from the scene. We don't even know what this is going to lead to. Absolutely no idea. Then we cut to a Toxic Attraction promo. This is an NXT thing. It doesn't matter for what we're doing now. It's just WWE throwing more rubbish in front of us. Not saying Toxic Attraction is rubbish. Again, not the people. It's the creative, obviously. Match number 3. Out comes Omos, the big guy. They called him the human skyscraper, for that matter. We find out it's going to be Cedric and Shelton versus him. We already know where this is leading to. You got the Hurt Business coming out. The 2 people that have jobbed to how many people the last 2 years? Not their fault. They're great talent. Again, they are good people, good wrestlers. Great tag team. What happens next? When you put him in a 2-on-1 handicap against Omos? Squash match. Omos beats them inside a minute, maybe 2. I'm pretty sure it was a minute. Made no sense. I've literally put no notes on this. Omos wins inside a minute or 2, squashes them. Vince is trying to make him look like this big guy. He reminds me of the Great Khali. Great Khali probably had more charisma. Sorry, Omos, but I've been respectful to the other wrestlers because I know it's not their fault, but I don't know if the look, and again, I don't know if it's his ability. I don't think his ability is that bad. It's the look. That look's not going to get over, in my opinion. I hope he proves me wrong, because Braun Strowman did prove me wrong. He got over pretty well. Still wasn't the biggest fan of him, but I thought he done pretty well to make his bigger character over. But I think Omos has a long way to go. And put it this way, I don't want to see him in a big WrestleMania match. He's not built up enough for it at the moment in terms of storyline. Makes no sense. Anyway, let's move on to the next segment. We are running through some time here. We have a recap of Dana Brooke kissing Reggie on the cheek last week. This is supposed to be like a friend zone angle or something. Dana says this means we are good friends to Reggie's disappointment. That's what happened last week. She gave him a kiss on the cheek, but she says we're only just good friends. He looks disappointed. Your typical friendship sort of friend zone sort of thing. We now cut to a live shot of Dana and Reggie having dinner together. Reggie tells her she looks amazing. He's not wrong. We then see Akira Tozawa and Tamina, who are like kind of hiding at another table, trying to be very secretive. And then it says to be continued. This is obviously leading to something, and well, I definitely know it is now. But at this point in the show, I presumed it was going to lead towards something with the 24/7 title. We'll get to it very, very soon. We go to another segment, and we're backstage at the RK Broga party again. We got the Street Profits who come in. They are playing beer pong, and they want the smoke. Obviously, it makes sense. Beer pong cups, that made sense, them showing up at the party. We now cut to the ring. We have Adam Pearce sitting in the ring. He says it's time for the Raw Women's Championship contract signing. You all know my opinions on this. I don't know how Lita's going to perform in a one-on-one match. I don't get it. I can understand the non-pro wrestling fans liking this. The people that don't care for proper pro wrestling, I can understand it. It's a pretty big dream match. Becky's idol. So I understand it to that point. But I don't personally like it. And just because I don't like it doesn't mean you don't have to like it. I don't think you should like it, but you don't have to like it. So basically what happens is Lita comes out to her terrible Titantron or video screen. They've literally just got Lita written on it. I know most of the wrestlers have their name written on it. Hers has no pattern. It looks horrible. The crowd reaction was super mild, which I've written down here. It was bad. A recap's now shown of last week. Oh, what are we going to do? We're WWE. We're just going to recap everything. How many recaps? Come up with a drinking game. Every recap, a drink. You know, the amount of beers Stone Cold takes down at WrestleMania will probably equal the amount of recaps we get on a Monday Night Raw every week. Tune in. WrestleMania. It's going to be stupendous. You'll find out then. Stupid. Anyway, we get back from the recap of last week, and out comes Becky Lynch. Becky says she hasn't slept all week because of the attack that she took from her idol. Lita, of course, we're talking about. Becky says she will let it all slide if you tear up the contract and walk away. She says, you have had a great career, Lita. What have you got left to prove? She's obviously trying to get out of the match at Elimination Chamber. Lita now asks the crowd what they think. What do you think they're going to do? It's a WWE crowd. And it's Vince. He pipes in noise. They clearly want the match. The crowd cheers. Yep. You know, you got your WWE 2K crowd piped in. Maybe it was probably a more legitimate reaction, this one, but I'm just saying. Lita says she didn't come this far to just walk away. Obviously, they're not going to cancel the match 1 week out. She said she didn't come here for one match. She says she has one good championship run left in her. Okay. All right. See what happens. Lita's saying she's got more than one match left in her. I did not see this comment coming. I thought she was a one and done thing, but there are some dream matches that could happen. I just don't know how she's going to go in the ring. If she performs good this Saturday and the match is decent, hey, I'm excited to see what could happen. As long as they do it right, which we know they're not gonna. Lita signs the contract after that. Obviously, she wasn't gonna not sign the contract. Becky says, you are pushing me too far. Becky says, you have no idea what I am capable of doing to retain this championship. Becky says she can always go for Lita's neck. Smart, obvious, but she brought it up, which I understand. And then Becky throws the contract at Lita and walks away holding the title. It was kind of weird. She was like holding it and hugging it, and it was a little bit strange. But she walked away with the championship belt to end that segment. So we've got the Elimination Chamber this weekend, which I actually completely forgot, which will be Sunday Australian time. So we will potentially, Shane, I don't know if you're watching this or you're watching this on demand as well. We might have Shane perhaps pop in here into the Cheap Pop studio. It's just my house and my room. But the temporary Cheap Pop studio. And he will maybe join me live in person. Now, he has tested negative. He's thankfully been able to make the trip down here to this area of Australia. So hopefully, maybe, if he's willing, on Sunday, he might be able to come and watch Elimination Chamber and review it with me straight after the show, which is super exciting if he wants to do that. I will definitely be reviewing it one way or another. So make sure you stay tuned for Sunday. We're going to have Lita versus Becky Lynch. I'm sounding excited. I really don't care that much for the show. But hey, it's a premium live event. I need to stop calling it pay-per-view. It's still exciting. Everybody loves watching a wrestling show regardless of how good or bad it is. to an extent. As you can see, I've watched Monday Night Raw and it's rubbish. All right, so we now see ironically, an Elimination Chamber package, promo package, which shows all the matches that are going to happen inside the chamber itself. Then we come out to what is called a gauntlet match. If you don't know what a gauntlet match is and you're a first-time viewer of anything pro wrestling related, I doubt it if you're watching this. I presume you know pro wrestling, but if you don't, basically you got two wrestlers, superstars that start in the ring together. If one wins, then another person comes out. It's basically one-on-one matches until the predetermined final competitor enters. I think there was about 4 or 5 entrants after the initial 2. So we had, it was a long gauntlet match. This was the 45 minute match I was talking about earlier. And they added a stipulation that the winner of this match would enter 6th last in the Elimination Chamber on Saturday in the United States. The first encounter is Rhea Ripley versus Nikki ASH. Smart booking here. I get it. You're putting a bit of a feud. Something logical, Bruce. Something logical. I like it. Just got to do it more often. You know? A bit more often. Smart. You've got a rivalry that's been happening the last 2 months and you've added it into this match. This is where they go wrong all the time. You've got to add these little side stories to what you do the following week. It just doesn't happen enough. Anyway, before the match starts, we get a pre-recorded video with Rhea Ripley saying she's back on track and focused. We start the match. Now, I'm going to be a bit more detailed with this match because it was pretty decent. I'm more or less going to go to the ends of the matches, so you'll hear how the matches ended. Nikki goes to the ropes and fights Ripley off. Nikki leaps from the second rope with a crossbody, but Ripley catches her in mid-air. Nikki blocks a slam, but Ripley comes back with another riptide. She already hit one earlier. And eliminates Nikki. So you got Rhea Ripley proceeding on to the next match. Liv Morgan's music hits and out she comes. We get another pre-recorded promo with Liv talking about how brutal the steel feels like inside the Elimination Chamber. She says the other women on Saturday will have to destroy her to beat her, but she will survive because she always does. Push her to the moon. She gets a good reaction from the crowd all the time. Look, I'll be backing her and praying she wins the chamber. It's obviously not going to happen, but I hope she does. I will keep my fingers crossed. She is my favorite. I don't care what anyone says. Liv is my favorite. Now we get to the end of the match. Rhea Ripley tries for the Prism Trap submission, but Liv breaks it and sends her into the turnbuckles. They go on and Ripley hits a super kick, then the Riptide for the pin to eliminate Liv. Look, I don't mind Liv losing here. I kind of hope she's one of the first 2 entrants and she wins it from there just to make her look stronger. It won't happen. I know it. I don't know why I'm even asking for it. But this is good. It's making Rhea Ripley look strong and maybe one of the favorites, one of the stronger ones heading into the Elimination Chamber match. So out comes Doudrop, Piper Niven. I really need to stop calling her Doudrop, even though that's her name. Just go back and watch the previous episodes of the Cheap Pop and you will know my thoughts on Doudrop. So we head to the end of the match, and Doudrop fights off the Riptide from Rhea, dropping Ripley with another headbutt. She's had many headbutts during the match. We're getting pretty long into the match here too. Rhea Ripley's going over, 30 minutes or so. Ripley slides off Doudrop's shoulders, but can't lift her. Doudrop fights her with elbows, but runs into another kick from Ripley. Ripley finally hits the Riptide for a massive pop from the crowd and eliminates Doudrop. Okay, now, this is the next part. So this is where things get interesting. So she does win. She beats Doudrop. Doudrop screams out of frustration as Ripley sits up and tries to recover. The music hits and out comes Bianca Belair. Now we get a pre-recorded video with Belair talking about making WrestleMania history twice in 1 year. Cool. We got Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair in the final part of this gauntlet. And to me, it didn't matter who wins here. If you've got Rhea Ripley winning, well, what an effort. If you've got Bianca Belair winning, you understand it. She was literally in the main event of WrestleMania. And Rhea Ripley's tired. So it makes sense also for Rhea Ripley to lose. Here, they kind of booked themselves, believe it or not, a win-win situation. I'll never call it a win-win situation because WWE could do something stupid like a knockout or a false finish. And we don't even get a winner. But presuming there is only a winner and a loser option, they booked themselves into a win-win situation. In my opinion, once. The only thing they'll probably ever do in that aspect. We shoot over to the end of the match, and Rhea Ripley nails a big, massive drop kick for another close 2 count. More back and forth between the two. Belair goes on and hits the KOD, pinning Rhea Ripley and winning the gauntlet match. After the match, Belair stands tall as her music hits. We go to a bunch of replays. Belair and Ripley hug in the center of the ring as the announcers hype the Elimination Chamber. Alright, good match. Rhea Ripley lasted 44 minutes. 44 minutes. I take my hat off to her. That was really awesome. And she's Australian too, which is great. Proud of Rhea Ripley. She's been great. Look, I don't know what her thoughts are for the future. I don't know if she's happy where she is. Let's be honest. There's some people that aren't happy at the WWE. Maybe some are. The dirt sheets can be deceiving. I feel like some people are happier there than they are elsewhere. Funny enough, when NXT was the black and gold brand and they were just starting out and they were getting big, the real indie talents, the main indie talents then were Kevin Owens. And then I guess they made Sami Zayn into a big indie talent. He was more already there. And then you had Kevin's come over. Didn't they both just sign new contracts for the main roster? These are two people everybody presumed would not be happy with where they are. And they were two people that you'd think would probably quit. They seem happy. Sami seems happy with a potential match with Johnny Knoxville. Look, I'm not a fan of that personally. But if he's happy, then people need to stop saying rubbish about how upset they are. So yeah, look, I just thought I'd put that out there. People seem to be happy with what they're doing. Maybe Rhea Ripley is happy with what she's doing. I don't know. I hope she is, because she was just made to look very dominant. And you can't expect people to keep winning championships all the time. That they're the ones that I understand you being frustrated with. Unless they make sense. You've got Roman Reigns, when he was a face, him winning the title so many times didn't make sense. He wasn't good. He had no promo skills. It was the wrong time. Now, he's the best thing going. He's my favorite in pro wrestling. Right now, Roman Reigns is the best. But now it makes sense for him to have a massive title run. Then we've got Charlotte Flair. No. That one doesn't make sense. I think Charlotte was great when she started, but now what she does just doesn't work. She can't even sell. Getting slammed on her. Wait till you see it. If you haven't already, check Twitter. Somebody goes to slam her on the table. They do that. About 10 seconds later, boom. Okay, that's exaggerating. 2 seconds later. One of the worst sells you'll see. And look, I understand it happens and you want to be safe and not too dangerous, but it's pro wrestling. It's a bad botch. I'm not saying she's bad, but lately she's just been a bit rough on the edges. Look, I would much rather her do that than injure herself or somebody injure her like a certain somebody that did get released. So I'm not going to hate on Charlotte too much. It's not necessarily the person sometimes. It's Bruce and Vince. So, you can't hate on the wrestlers too much sometimes. Let's move on to the next segment. Enough talking about all that, even though the match was good. Congratulations to Bianca Belair, but awesome match. And awesome showing from Rhea Ripley. Probably the best part of the show. Maybe that besides KO, best part of the show. We go back to the, I called it the Toga Party, the RK Broga Party. And Riddle is singing a song. The Raw Tag Team Champions Alpha Academy attack Riddle and beat him up. Chad Gable is sick of this and says the party is over, bro. That was a pretty cool thing. Chad Gable, he is an example of somebody that everybody thought was going to be a nobody. You had Chad Gable move to just Gable. Actually, sorry. He moved to Shorty G. How can you forget about Shorty G? And people thought his career in the WWE was over. Look at him now. Yeah, his gimmick may be cheesy. It may be something that one of these wrestlers who hate on the place that left would say, oh, that's garbage. I wouldn't want to do that. He's taken this role and made it his own. Don't get me wrong. I don't like half the stuff they're doing with him. They could make it a little bit better. There's a lot more they could do with it. It's probably still shit, but he's making it good. He's making it watchable. That's probably the best way to put it. Chad Gable is my favorite part of the show besides SmackDown Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens on Monday Night Raw, and maybe a bit of Seth Rollins. If I had to pick a top four, it's them four. easily in the WWE anyway. I think Gable deserves a lot of recognition. This leads to the ring and the next match. So we have the Mysterios, Ray and Dominic coming out. Again, we're throwing typical WWE rubbish here. Instead of continuing with the match, what do? We cut to a commercial. We come back to another segment. So pretend the Mysterios aren't in the ring. You know, they're not just hanging there waiting awkwardly while the crowd watches them. We go to an ad break. We come back. We see R-Truth disguised as a waiter. Obviously, where Dana Brooke and that were. He approaches Reggie as a waiter and the WWE 24/7 champion, Dana Brooke, at their table in the restaurant. Reggie holds off Truth while Dana retreats. She runs into Tamina Snuka and Akira Tozawa at their table. They end up stumbling all over each other and Dana gets away from them. They run away and Dana comes back to Reggie. She thanks her friend Reggie for saving her again, but here's the twist. Forgot. She gives him another kiss. Pretty sure it was on the cheek. Reggie wants to take things to the next level. But she apologizes for leading him on. So the kiss is on the cheek. She's obviously apologizing because he thinks he's in, like Flynn. Reggie says they can be friends, and out of nowhere, he rolls Dana Brooke up. And by rolling up, yes, fruit roll up, like Ryan said earlier. Rolls her up, 1, 2, 3, and Reggie is your 24/7 champion again. I'm not even going to comment on that. Yeah. We go back to the ring, and out comes the Raw Tag Team Champions, Alpha Academy. I keep forgetting they're the champs, but again, Gable, entertaining. This is a non-title match. Otis and Chad Gable taking on the Mysterios. The Alpha Academy insult the people of Indiana and welcome us to their first public assembly. Gable goes on about how he's never needed to cheat to accomplish anything. Gable goes on ranting about cheaters, RK Bro namely, and the Mysterios. He's finally interrupted, strangely, by The Miz and Maurice, who come out to join the announcers table. This is kind of random. Something did happen with the Mysterios and them last week. Wait till I tell you what happens soon. You're going to laugh. We'll go to the end of the match now. We have the Mysterios double teaming Otis. That sounded weird. Sending him into the ring post and out to the floor. Ray drops Gable in position for a 619 as the fans pop. Ray and Dominic hit a double 619 on Chad Gable. They go to the top rope, but Miz hits the apron and pushes Dominic to cause him to lose his footing. Ray stops climbing and knocks Miz to the floor. Dominic climbs to the top for a crossbody, but Gable catches him and rolls through for the pin to win. I get it, but I don't like it. After the match, Gable and Otis head to the ramp to celebrate as the music hits. Maurice enters the ring and distracts the Mysterios as they are recovering. I'd be pretty distracted too. Miz comes from behind. The Miz comes from behind, sends Dominic to the floor, and then drops Ray with a skull-crushing finale. Miz and Maurice celebrate and kiss as their music starts up. It is Valentine's Day, I guess. We go to replays, and the Miz and Maurice continue celebrating up the ramp. I'll get to the point in a minute because I explain it shortly, actually. I'll talk about it when we get to it rather than right now. Thankfully, we're getting to the end of the show. We have a backstage segment. Here's the follow-up to Alexa Bliss from earlier. At least this is it. Final promo from Alexa Bliss and her therapist. We go back to Alexa Bliss and her therapist for the last time, thankfully. The doc says Bliss is cured, at least as cured as she's going to be. He says she will be fine as long as Lily is by her side. Bliss says Lily is gone. She no longer has her, but he, the therapist, informs her that Lily's real stuffing is inside this replica toy or doll that he had given her earlier. He says as long as Lily is near, Bliss will be cured and can live a happy life. Bliss thanks the doc and shakes his hand, and has him also. So the doc also had to shake Lily's hand. Sorry, I confused my own self there with my writing. Bliss goes to leave, stops, and tells Lily that apparently she's cured. She laughs and she says she's going to the Elimination Chamber. Now, this is where you think, cool, they're giving us a bit of a 50-50. Is she going to be in the chamber match? Or is she going to be in another match? Is she just going to show up and do something else? You know, we're going to do the right thing here because we're Bruce and Vince. We're going to leave a surprise for the Elimination Chamber. We're not going to tell everybody who's going to be the surprise entrant. You know, we're hyping this up as a surprise entrant all week. The announcers, straight after that segment, along with a video promo, confirm Alexa Bliss is in the Elimination Chamber match. What do they not get from the word surprise? You know it's a surprise, right? No, we're just going to throw Alexa in there. I love Alexa. I prefer her as the goddess. This is good. But why spoil it? Why not just give us a bit of a surprise? Why'd you spoil Johnny Knoxville in the Rumble? I probably would have popped for him if I didn't know he was in there. I'm not even going to bother with saying the rest of the ones I shouldn't have spoiled for the Elimination Chamber. For the Royal Rumble. Can you give us just one surprise? I swear, if they pre-announce Stone Cold coming back, there's going to be problems. Major problems with me. Alright? I swear, if they don't make that a surprise, I'm going to be super angry. I can just, now that I think about it, I don't know why I just thought about it, but they're going to want it ratings. They're going to announce that he's there. Anyway, Alexa Bliss is in the chamber. The surprise is spoiled. We know she's not going to be number 6. Bianca Belair is coming out last. Again, just dumb. Makes no sense. Anyway, let's move on to the main event. Thank God we got there. Apparently, this is the first time, I think since, I can't remember, I think it might be 2015, that Seth Rollins is taking on Randy Orton on Monday Night Raw. Out comes Seth Rollins first. One of my favorites on Monday Night Raw. We went to a commercial break. We come back from the break and the announcers go over the Elimination Chamber card. Now here, I said I was going to come back to it a little bit later. A match is randomly announced between Rey Mysterio and The Miz at the Elimination Chamber. Pretty sure we've had a 1 week build. Didn't they? I could be wrong because I don't really watch the show that much. Like, full on. Didn't they only just start feuding last week? Or maybe even the week before? And they barely did anything? I don't get it. I really don't. This is just a where's the build? This is just a match just thrown in there. Where's the build? You call 1 to 2 weeks long-term booking? And when I say long-term, it has to be 2 months. 1 month, 4 weeks is not enough. It can be if you make it seem believable. But what are they feuding over? I swear WWE's feuds are just over nothing now. There's no personal problems. It makes no sense. That's happening at the Elimination Chamber. You can bet your life on it when I review it. I'll be talking for about 10 seconds and then moving on to the next match. Speaking of matches, let's move on to tonight's main event. And we're going to go to the end of the match. So Orton blocks the pedigree. Seth Rollins went for a pedigree. He sends Rollins into the apron. Then he hits the draping DDT from the rope. Orton pounds the mat and the fans cheer him on. Orton comes right back with the RKO and puts Rollins down. Then the music of the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Alpha Academy, plays. I will comment on why I don't like this happening now on this part of the show later. But anyway, out come the Alpha Academy. They're running down the ramp, but Riddle is right behind them. Riddle goes to attack them. However, they get the upper hand on Riddle. Randy Orton gets out of the ring, comes to make the save. He goes down, tries to take them out. He's about to get counted out. He doesn't realize the count is close to 10. He just makes it back into the ring in time. But when he slides in, you know what's coming. And Seth Rollins hits the curb stomp. And hey, the main event of Monday Night Raw got a clean finish. What is this? A clean finish? Yeah, Bruce. It's a clean finish. You know, something. Okay. Sorry, let me rephrase that, Bruce. It had some stupid distraction, but we ended the match with a pinfall. Curb stomp, pinfall. The next time WWE actually puts on a clean main event with no interference, no distractions, and just a clean winner in an epic 30-minute match, mark my words, this is on Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, not a pay-per-view, a premium live event, has to happen on Raw or SmackDown. Mark my words, I will do a giveaway of a video game at that time when that happens. Oh, yes, sorry, I have not been checking my messages. Of course I'm live. It's Tuesday, it's shit Raw day. I will do a gaming giveaway. I will give away some game. I don't know, it might be WWE 2K22 at the time. The day WWE Raw puts on a 20 to 30 minute match in the main event or SmackDown, and it's a clean finish. No interference, no bullshit, and it's just a good pro wrestling match. This may not happen for 10 years. That's how much I don't think it's going to happen. I guarantee you I will do a giveaway here on the Cheap Pop. When that happens, we don't know. So we had Seth Rollins win. We actually closed the show clean. Seth just stood tall. And that's how the match ended. So here you can see the WWE is trying to make Seth Rollins look strong. They're trying to make him look big heading into the Chamber. He is also not winning the Elimination Chamber. Guarantee you that as well. He's not winning the Chamber. At the moment, the only real options for me and what I think is going to happen, there's only two possibilities at the Elimination Chamber. And look, I'm probably giving away my tip here because I want to do a Chamber preview show, either with Shane or with Sam or both, if they're wanting to do it. Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley will win the Chamber. I can't see anybody outside of them winning it. I think it would be an amazing surprise if, say, a Riddle or an AJ won. Actually, if anybody won it, I can see everybody hating if Austin Theory won it. I wouldn't mind it. Probably a bit too soon. But if anybody else wins it, it'd be a shock. And a nice surprise. But it's going to come down to Lesnar and Lashley as the final two. If I'm wrong, I'd be very, very surprised. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I can't see that going any other way. I won't talk about the Chamber too much. I'll leave that for a preview video that we do later in the week. Maybe on Saturday sometime. Possibly Sunday before the Chamber. We'll see if we even get time to do it. We'll see what happens there. And then, of course, we've got Dynamite coming up in a couple of days. We don't know what's going to happen there. Pretty exciting after last week's amazing Dynamite and Jay White showing up on Rampage as well. Really looking forward to what's going to happen with Dynamite on Thursday. NXT Vengeance Day. It's not a pay-per-view. It's like a TV show pay-per-view. Kind of like what Lesnar definitely. Kind of like what AEW do with, Bash at the Beach or whatever they were calling their shows. That sort of thing. It's sort of that kind of show. It's just a TV show, but it's got a pay-per-view vibe to it. I'll probably only tune into the Australian stuff. Grayson. And of course, you've got the tag team match, the women's tag team title match. I'll tune into that. Other than that, look, I like the NXT stars. I just can't get into the show enough to want to review it. I'll probably check out the results. That sort of thing. I'll definitely be reviewing Dynamite. Most likely will be me and Samantha here. As always, Shane might join us. I don't know if he'll be able to tune in or not. He is down here as of tomorrow in Newcastle. But yeah, he might join us for a live. He might be here. As I said earlier in the show, he might come into the studio for Elimination Chamber on Sunday. We will see what happens in terms of that. But look, that's it for the Raw review. It is only 7:15 here in Australia, which is normally an early finish for the review. That means the show was generally better than last week, but still not amazing. The best things to take away from it, Kevin Owens. I don't know what they're going to do with him and Stone Cold. Sam, I don't know if you saw the news or heard the breaking news, but Stone Cold looks like it's going to be him versus Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. Look, I get it. Stone Cold's from Texas. Kevin Owens, the last couple of weeks, has been shitting on Texas. He uses the Stone Cold Stunner as his finishing move. Doesn't call it the Stone Cold Stunner. But yeah, rumor has it Stone Cold's coming back at 57 years old, out of retirement, for one match. I could see them going down the route of him being special referee, which would make more sense. Make more sense. What do you get? What do you mean, what do I get? What do you get? What do you mean someone made the list? I don't know what you mean by that, but yeah. Stone Cold versus Kevin Owens, which, look, I don't mind, but you've got to have probably not them two one-on-one. Yeah, I think the match of them two, I get it, 10 years ago. Where they really effed up, it should have been Stone Cold versus CM Punk. Back in their prime. Well, CM Punk's prime. And I guess Stone Cold would have been young enough to have a decent match. Maybe, look, we don't know if that's the match. We don't actually know if that's the match. I just think Stone Cold's going to have something to do with him at WrestleMania. The rumor is it's a match. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Time will tell, I guess. So yeah, that's really the biggest takeaway from Raw is Stone Cold, I guess. The biggest thing that's come out of it. We'll wait and see what happens. Maybe something will happen at Elimination Chamber. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. We'll be back here soon with some previews and reviews. As I did mention, we might do a 2K video this week as well. Shane is in the city, so we might be able to get him here in the studio, aka just my house, like I said earlier, and we'll see what we can do with him, perhaps live and in person. Thank you all for tuning in to episode number 6. It's been a bit of a journey the last few weeks, actually trying to get some episodes out. But hopefully we can keep this going for a very, very long time and go from there. So as I've mentioned, you can watch this video on demand once it does go off air. Make sure you do like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more. Ring the notification bell. That will definitely keep you up to date with when the Cheap Pop will be going up. Like Sam said, the rumors are usually true. And if she is right, and if it's not a prediction, it's a spoiler, Stone Cold will be coming back to WWE. I'm all for it, just not in a one-on-one match. I don't like it. I love Kevin Owens. He's my favorite, probably one of my favorites at the moment, but it's not going to happen. I don't want a match. Time will tell, and we'll have to discuss that in the future. Twitter, on your screen, @TheRealCheapPop. Make sure you go and follow us over there. We're going to have a lot going on Twitter. I tweet every day, pretty much. I tweet when we go live. That's the most important thing. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks, Sam. Thanks, Ryan. Much appreciated for the live tune in. Everybody watching on demand, I'll see you in the next one.